How did our project start? Well, The Forbidden Room is one part of this project that's been consuming our lives for the last 4.5 years. It's the feature film. At first, it was an installation during which we shot a movie a day in public. And that's where Centre-Phi and we got involved for the first time. We were here as an installation at the Centre-Phi, also at the Centre Pompidou, shooting a film a day. What were those films? They were our own adaptations of films that once were but are no longer, lost movies. I engaged Evan, who was a good friend already, a former student of mine a long time ago, to help me with researching lost films. Something like 80% of all silent films ever made in Hollywood are lost. I was haunted by the fact that there were all these films I couldn't see. The more I read about them, the more I wanted to see them. And I came up with this idea, well, I guess I'll have to make these films myself if I want to see them. Some of what we shot became a feature film, The Forbidden Room. The rest of what we shot will become an interactive project that the NFB is going to host called Seances.
I didn't have the vision to see what it could be. I just knew that it was right. I think Phoebe and I just loved the process. This idea of deconstructing or doing seances of old films and finding them and shooting them in a contemporary manner, I think was really interesting for us. And I think that the nature of a project that straddles the line between cinema and contemporary art is that incredible spot that we live at in 5 films.
I love Guy and his movies, but he'd been making a lot of black and white movies and wanted to go back to color. It's like a whole new world. And Guy's great because he lets most of his collaborators do this. He just let me, for a while anyway, do whatever I wanted with the color in the movies. You'd come in every now and then and look over my shoulder and suggest things. But basically you just wanted crazy. You wanted things to be extreme and punchy, and you just didn't want to be bored by the footage you were looking at.
Guy's movies are very idiosyncratic, and the shoot is much different than your standard industry shoot. So there were a lot of 10 and 20-year veterans of the industry that were just as confused as I was. So it sort of brought everyone down to the same level, and I think really created a good atmosphere on set. And it becomes just sort of fun trying to create a set with as few resources and as little time as possible. So, you know, if you need a forest, here's a branch. And then you add a bird chirping in post-production, and you've got your forest. So knowing that the movies would be really stylized helped. You know, you can suggest a lot with shadows and sounds and lighting effects, as long as you're not going for too naturalistic a style, which we certainly were not.
Well, the 3 of us were art directors on these, since there wasn't a film yet, I guess, on 12 or 13 short films.
It's kind of unusual that 3-person do art director at the same time, but I think the project was so big, we had to team up to make it happen.
The real thing was, creatively, we actually in some ways had almost nothing to do, because his art designer, Galen, had a fairly well designed vision for the palette and the aesthetic, and it was our job really to give Guy and Galen our team.
We were kind of actually building atmospheres rather than sets. We knew that these things were going to be shot through lenses smeared in Vaseline. We knew no one would actually ever see the cracks and the nails and these little things, or the fact that things are made of cardboard. If there's not enough actors, we print some photocopies of actors and put them into the background on a stick.
And also sometimes I would try to get the thing, like the parachute, and he was like, no, we can just use my sheet from my hotel, it will be fine. So yeah, it was kind of like...
Did we?
No, we had the parachute.
No, we got a parachute.
I do feel that we've pushed some boundaries here. I don't think there's another movie that looks like this. It was a challenge in that it's on the verge of being impossible. There was a chance for Guy to do something very safe with this, and he just decided to either fail spectacularly or do something that's never been done before.
I don't know what attracted the actors to the project. I don't want to start naming them all because I'll probably forget one person or something like that and offend them, but I was just thrilled across the board. Maybe our casting agent knew which ones would be more likely to be up for an adventure, or maybe just the Quebec acting scene is just across the board adventurous. It seems to me that's the latter is probably the case.
My big analogy is a lot of directors bring you a tree to prune for them, to shape. But Guy gives you a seed that he wants to be surprised. He wants you to grow something. I guess because he started out editing his own work, and he's at a point now where he He wants to be surprised.
What excites us about cinema in this country are guys like Guy Maddin. Those are the guys that made us want to make movies in this country, that made us believe it's possible and fun. It was great to have our hero as a mentor.
This whole film was a labor of love by a lot of people. And although I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm but one piece of a very elaborate puzzle. What I would say is how very fortunate Phoebe and I feel to be a part of this extraordinary journey. And I would thank everybody from near and far that was a part of this, because I think that it was a series of a lot of talents and a lot of events that created something that is unique and special.